How's it going, everybody? We're back. Another CoolZone, another Friday. Steve GH, September, how's it going? So we'll get started a few minutes, just give people a little bit of extra time to get in here. We'll go over some of this. CoolZone. Jeff, how's it going? Player 2. Just in time. So, yeah, so this we'll get started in a second. The stuff you've been doing in the Hulai, Jeff, is pretty cool. I like the just how this like river reflections don't get too wild. Like it's, I don't know, it's like a game or something, like an animation you might see in a game. Pretty cool. I don't know how you've been you did every single one so far. You're like the only one I've seen who's who's kept up with the Iron Man challenge. Alex, how's it going? One beer, ZBrush, and a little bit of John Kuntz. Vegan Nuts was doing this cool thing. Reminds me of the those like orbs that you have with the fibers, and each end of them or whatever like transmits the light through it. Yeah, I think the Hulai stuff is a pretty good way to just like keep up and learn stuff with Houdini. It's like you have to keep trying out new areas of the software every day, or I don't know, some people are just doing kind of the same thing or whatever, but it's pretty cool. Kieran, how's it going? I saw this guy, Juve Houdini. He's making this pretty cool ocean cloud thing from some of the techniques or whatever from this simulation stuff we were doing. Was Wednesday, the Hulai Sky Day. I was trying to do something yesterday for the waterway stuff, but I didn't finish it. I was trying to do one of these like sharks swimming through water with all the schools of fish that separate, or kind of like a flocking simulation, like the avoidance with the predator or whatever. But I just ran out of time. I couldn't get it working well enough in time. These were some of my references that I was trying to go for or whatever. The lighting is pretty difficult to get, the like color attenuation and all the like reflections and stuff like that, right? And then I was also just having some trouble getting this motion looking as nice. I don't know if I watched it all the way through. I might do like a 10-minute tutorial or like a shorter YouTube tutorial, like a quick tip or something with this caustic technique. But yeah, I was posting about it in the Discord. It's basically just linking up texture. So I was baking these grid textures using the Ocean Spectrum, deformation toolkits and stuff. So you just use this texture. This is like 2K maybe, and just project it through a spotlight with the redshift or whatever. You just watched the recent cloud stream and it reminded me of fluffy snow, so I started a vellum grain into snow stim again. How would you render particles with redshift to look like snow? I think you can get pretty close to it with it depends. I think sometimes with snow I've done some funky stuff. The grain tutorial is coming along. I think this weekend I'll be able to finish it. I redid I appreciate your feedback. Everyone was giving me some helpful feedback in the Discord. But yeah, I redid the second part. I actually cut out the segment. I did earlier I was doing like some vex code in a pop wrangle. I replaced that part with like a SOP solver and then just doing like an attribute copy inside of the SOP solver. So I'm just trying to get it more approachable to the layman, just easier for people to follow without as much. No, it's good. Getting feedback is what makes the end result the best in the end. Yeah, so the snow, like, it depends. I could do a quick thing with like snow particles before we get started. No caustics today. I was trying to do the waterway tutorial or the Ulai prompt yesterday, but I gave up and I didn't get it in time. Edvino, how's it going? So if you're doing some grains of snow, like if we just do maybe points from volume. You were following along some of that pyro stuff as well, Edvino? Saw you typing something about it. You said you had a project with pyro or something coming up? So maybe this is kind of like our grains. Need to set the illumination yet? So this is just September was asking September. I don't exactly know how to pronounce it. Just about kind of rendering grain as snow or particles as snow. So we'll just do this September. So we'll just make a sphere. I'm doing this conversion to make it smoother and then turning it into particles. And then I have this point cloud here. I'm just gonna say we do the color from the near point. This is the point number of these point cloud or whatever that it finds. So we just do this to import the point number, and if you do random, then you get random colors, like a Voronoi or something like that. Or you could also do sample sphere. Whoops. Is this the right one? What is it? Got some misspelling. And then I think there might be like uniform. Let me get the tooltip to come back. There's an underscore that got me. Where did it go? Sample sphere uniform. So this way what we're doing is we're just adding a displacement kind of per chunks or whatever. So this is like our snow things ripping apart. And then if we want to render them, we could just do, get rid of this other stuff, go into the camera. One was a wide one. We'll just use this one. So you could use Redshift. And I'm just going to go back to the square. And we should be able to just render. So we'll just see what happens. What I do before I start rendering, I'm just going to add this p-scale attribute. And then on here, we're already set to render objects as particles. So we don't have any shader right now, or it's missing the shader. We'll just think of some different ways to show snow. You were talking about redshift, right? Yeah. We'll do the RS material builder. I don't know if my drag and drop is always forever broken using this OBS. I think we got it. We got it. This is a super cool zone, the frozen zone. Yes, I think we're getting the shader working now. So with snow, like it depends the size of it, but you can do like the subsurface stuff. I don't know if my light. I'm just gonna make a dome light for like a quick kind of environment or something. I might go. I'm just gonna grab a quick HDRI. This Etnies Park Center or whatever. And with this subsurface scattering, you should be able to use it to kind of tint the stuff blue a little bit. I don't know if this... I don't know if this radius scale is a bit too small. Vegan Nuts, how's it going? You're looking at your marble kind of fibers, the growing stuff. So I think I just need a smaller scattering radius. This is kind of like one approach, but I don't know if it's the best one. Sometimes what I've ended up doing in the past, I'm just gonna make these point clouds higher. And if you do this volume rasterize attributes, turning your grain particles or your particles into a volume. Maybe we need a density attribute for this. I'm just gonna set a density value of 1 everywhere. This might need to be... Did I do it? Density? Maybe I need to set it up here as well. So this way you can do a volume shader, either with Mantra or with Redshift. I need to turn off the particle rendering. And then with the volume, I've seemed to be able to get better. Happy Friday, Mr. Wazo. I've seemed to been able to get better shadows, like kind of like an iceberg or a glacier or something like that. I don't know if I need absorption. Oh, you need the light. Thank you. The redshift always tilts me. So you just need this contribution scale. Alright. I'm used to the mantra one a little bit more. But I think with this absorption stuff, you could get trying to get like some blue in the shadows, kind of. I don't know if this. But this kind of stuff is Voronoi clouds. I was waiting to get started. I think in the next 1 or 2 minutes I'll probably switch over. But September was asking about doing a like a snow shader if you're doing a grain simulation. So I was just converting the particles to a VDB, doing the rasterization or whatever, and then just playing around with some settings or something like that might get close to a snow or some type of thing like that. Sometimes doing a smaller shadow scale, but it depends on the resolution and everything of your grain thing. But for doing like a snowball kind of effect, I think this was the approach I ended up doing before. So if you do, I don't know how well this will work. So if I just take my do this relative to bounding box with this position attribute, then I have the normalized position in bounding box. So I'm just going to use the Y component, or the green channel, to drive maybe a noise. So if we do anti-aliased, not that one, anti-alias noise, and mask it or multiply it by the gradient that we're doing there. We want this to be 3D noise maybe. And then we just add this to the position. So this is kind of like a masked displacement or a masked noise. If we really want this like diffusing, we can just make it super rough. It's kind of like almost just random kind of values. I'll look at that in a second. We'll just get this rendering again. Shift S, what does it do? I don't like those other wires. People were talking about how to simulate this and this kind of stuff in the Discord. I forget who, might have been Kieran, but someone was doing it with the archery kind of style arrow, going through this. But basically you just want to use the wind tunnel setting on the smoke solver, and yeah, that's the only yeah, it's a pretty basic wind tunnel. You could add like, you want to be careful about how you're adding forces, because you don't want to add turbulence everywhere. Like you might want to do turbulence based off of something, but even without turbulence, if you just have a wind tunnel going past a collision object, you'll get it will introduce a bunch of turbulence and interesting stuff like that. But yeah, if you do this kind of stuff, you can get interesting transitions from solid kind of grain shapes into individual like chunks of snow or whatever that shagged up that snow looking fresh. Yeah, so that, I think like this is how Side Effects used to set up. I don't know if they still do, but they used to set up the whitewater simulations to render like foam on water as this. So if you're doing a snowball, this way you can get interesting kind of transitions as the snow might break up or stuff like that happens. Let me just go back into the shader for this. So we might want a little bit less density overall. And then just using this absorption to get a hint of blue. It just depends on the scale of your scene for that. Like if you're doing something very cartoony, you might want that, or if you're doing a big iceberg, you see a lot more blue, but then if it's a smaller snow that you have in your hand or something, it's just a tiny hint of blue. And using this shadow density scale, I think snow tends to scatter more light or whatever into it, so just let that happen. Yeah, I might just go back in here and maybe even go with a smaller voxel size for more, try to get some more detail in here and just see what happens. You might, I think you can do it. I mean, this is, you do need a lot of particles. This is basically like the Krakatoa method. Like if anyone used Krakatoa with 3ds Max or saw the renders or videos from it, like they're basically just taking, you need like millions or billions of particles and convert them into a volume. I don't know if this might have been too high of a resolution for my scene. But yeah, just switching, rasterizing particles to a volume can give you pretty nice results. You do need a lot, otherwise you'll just get, it kind of looks like a bathtub bubbles or something. To get, I guess that was too many. All right, so we'll just get back, start fresh in the CoolZone. We got warmed up with the cool smoke, cool snow. Yeah, I think it was Redshift didn't like that voxel count that I was trying to throw at it. Yeah. So my plan, first time I see Houdini crashing, is one of us. Yeah, I think Redshift, if you really toss stuff at it, it's more prone to crashing than other areas of it. Whoa, get that sound. So my plan was to start with a sphere and kind of the default boombox. Yeah, I don't know what that node was. I've never really used it. I think you can use this to drive objects like by proximity or stuff like that. Yeah, a lot of the plugins for other renders and stuff are a bit more buggy just because they don't have as many developers like dedicated to testing them or stuff. But yeah, other software as well as generally seems, I don't know, Houdini has some builds that are kind of cursed, but for the most part it's gotten more stable over the years. Yeah, so my plan was to use one of these spheres and kind of pull at the same thread or continue along some of the same ideas that we were doing last Friday, where we had the texture that we were kind of doing some distortions and stuff with. So we'll do, you guys remember we were doing like grabbing the NURBS, the parametric primitive position to get the UV coordinate. I don't want that one. I think we could also just do UV texture. If you do polar 12.0.683, that was one of the most stable Houdini builds I've ever used. It was like before they had redone their viewport, like everything just worked perfectly. Then they added packed primitives and polygon soups and a bunch of other stuff, and it slowly just got buggier and buggier. They've fixed a lot of those bugs, but it still has some issues. So just look at just do it this way with the quick shade. I'm just gonna look at the UV attributes that I've assigned to it. If you see this thing, you can just do fix boundary seams, and that will repair that issue or whatever. So last time we, if I just go to the folder for it, I think it was the 17th, we pulled in some of these textures and we're just playing around with it to get interesting, that kind of Lee Griggs style or whatever of the fluid mapped to the people. But I might alien planet style types. Yeah, so I might do some stuff on the similar vein or similar thread, but just play around with it and see what kind of happens. Gamma Bassoon, how's it going? We'll just do this anti-alias noise. It's a standard Berlin noise or whatever. And we take we could take the color and position and swap it. This is kind of a trick that I like to do. So it just puts these all these points sorted from negative to positive numbers, like 0 to 1, along the origin. And then if you use the clip node, you can cut everything that's either above 0 or below 0, like negative numbers. So if you do another swap, then you're back to the noise. But the reason to do this instead of just deleting blasting by color is that this clip node will interpolate, or it will give you smoother cuts. So if I go up a little bit higher resolution or whatever, these, when it clips by the attribute, it will like do a slice somewhere in between the polygons, instead of if I just do blast with the same idea with this blast node would be at CD dot x is greater than 0, but or maybe flipped it around. So you can see this one is constrained to the resolution, but this one can detect like where the seam line might be a little bit better. You'll still get better results when you have a higher resolution geometry because the actual noise signal is a bit smoother when it's generated. But sometimes if you want better lines, you can do that. So you could do divide, remove shared edges. Now we just have the borders, or the edges of shared edges is like this polygon and this polygon share the same edge. So this is a shared edge. Right here, this polygon is the only one that has this edge, so it's considered an unshared edge. And then this ends is kind of a classic one to go from polygons to lines, where you just tell the faces of the polygons that they're open instead of closed. If we get rid of the color, we should see the lines a little bit better. Yeah. So you can do interesting stuff with this. With this noise, for example, if we, instead of just having this, I'm just gonna make a copy and move it over so it's a bit easier to see what's happening. So if we take the base, my mind is already blown a few minutes in. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know, you could always just get up to something within Houdini. That's why it's my favorite thing just to mess around with. You just plug stuff together and make wild stuff. So we could take this noise signal and do like a sine function on the output. Whoops. Slurp. My mind is a Slurpee. It's just slushing around. The sine wave. And so we'll do a sine wave. It doesn't give us any results because this value is already just very low. It's like between -1 and 1. So the sine wave, you need like a higher amplitude or a bigger signal. So if you go higher, then you'll start to see we get like smaller ripples based off of that noise. I might just do a subdivide. Get a little bit better resolution. See, I'm still working pretty quickly, so this should be good. So with this sine wave, like instead of just one ripple, if I go down into a smoother section, eventually the sine wave is just going to give us kind of repetitions or like more ripples based off of that value. Let me go up to 22. Might make more sense if I go from degrees to radians. Maybe radians. Maybe I need to go the other way. So this is just taking that like very small value and adding more like ripples to it that are kind of conforming to the same, it like follows the same flow or the same form or whatever. It's cool. We could also just do another anti-alias noise. So instead of the sine function gives you a very predictable, like repeating, kind of looping value. We do a noise. You'll still get kind of a repeating value, but the pattern will be more interesting, essentially. So you still get these lines that are very repetitive, but they're a little bit, the spacing of them is a little bit more like unpredictable. So maybe just going to reduce that frequency a little bit. Maybe this frequency as well. So maybe something like that is nice. I'm going to do some more stuff with it. This isn't the final result yet. So if I just keep working with this, I think we have our attribute pop. We were working, I did the UV coordinates. I think we just need to move them from the vertices to the points to be able to see them in that node. You just do vertex split. You can promote them. The vertex split will add that line like that and do it perfectly. If you just do attribute promote, sometimes you get problems and it will try to interpolate or it messes up your seams. But we can maybe use this for a noise. So I don't know, we're getting the seam with that. Sometimes it's nice to work with this spherical projection because then you can control like the hemisphere or the equator kind of frequencies of stuff. But if you're not using like a periodic noise, you'll always get this seam. We could hide it if we wanted to for what we're doing and just put it in the back. I don't know, I'm gonna just try maybe a different noise. And then the reason I was making these lines was I wanted to use them in this other input, or we could also trying to think what the best way is to do this. Yeah, we could just use them in this other input. And then if you use the XYZ dist function, this is a really nice, useful node. It's kind of the same idea as the ray SOP or the ray node at the object level, or the SOP level. If you just plug this in, it will give you the distance to those curves. So even without a noise function, or if you hand modeled or painted these curves on, you could get the distance across the surface to them. So we could do interesting things with that. You can also get like the prim UV coordinates. This is just the distance along the curves. You can you do the primitive attribute. Then I could pull attributes or read properties from that curve. If we do P for position, then this would be like that surface position of those curves. So I might try maybe doing a noise based off of that closest point on the curve. So I'm trying something here by putting that distance into the fourth component, or the fourth dimension. I might just try it in the, we'll just do the regular surface position. So if we change the frequency of this fourth component, now we can warp the noise closer or further from that base set of curves. So if I template these curves by taking that distance and feeding it into this fourth dimension, doing some time warping kind of, you can displace or conform the signal to follow the curves. I might try maybe the UV. Then I'm just gonna try displace along normal. I'll get rid of the color. That seam is gonna be too much of a problem. Just go back to the position. So based off of those curves, I can control the kind of interesting like surface-based frequency or even definition of those shapes. It's like if you see these outlines or these curves, this is what's going to influence the kind of like flower petals. Yeah, it's what is it? It's like that the album cover of that Future. You guys know that album? Was it Future or was it Young Thug? Not Dirty Sprite. It's this one, the Evol. Kind of like the rose flower petals or whatever, like made out of rock or like petrified flowers or something like that. This Evol. This one right here. But yeah, it's kind of like wood getting warped. Like if you see eyes or like knots in the wood, it's kind of the same idea, maybe. Let's get rid of the wireframe. Let's see. Sometimes you can do interesting. I don't know how this is gonna work. Sometimes you can get interesting sometimes you could do 2 displacements. I don't know if it's gonna work. I don't have enough resolution, maybe. Topology. I think my topology is like too scuffed to do that. It's like if you're making a circuit board or something, you have too many wires just pumped into random stuff, as your mind starts to short circuit. Haven't scooped it all back up from the last time. Yeah, I don't know. You could get like some interesting terracing, kind of like a terrain or something with that multiple displacements, but I think it has some issues just because we're already like stretching the topology so much that it just doesn't have enough faces or points to move a second time. So I might just go back to, I don't know. Could be interesting. Maybe if we just do a lower frequency. So we have our base. This is a lot of noises to keep track of. We have that base like stuff that's pushing and pulling from the base set of curves. So the lower frequency this is, the more of just like a standard noise function it will be. The higher we make this value, the more like compressed and distorted things will be to follow those curves. We are in the alien planet now. This maybe. So I might turn that off for a second, and I'm just gonna get rid of some of that other stuff. I'm gonna look at just this distance from those curves, and then I might do this fit function. So instead of using the full range, I'm gonna take that distance and clamp it just to a certain range. So if we use this instead, then the noise will stop getting distorted after a certain distance. I could even maybe do this power function. So this is like the fall off of that distance, or the compressed range that we made. You might want to do like a complement to flip that around. So we were starting with this. The black areas are where the curves actually lie on the geometry. It's the distance is 0, so the surface isn't very far from them. Then if we do this power function, I think I want to flip things around before I do the power function. Yeah, I think this is what I'm trying to do. So this will just tighten up that noise to be distorted just in a smaller area. Let's look at the final result. So I'm just trying to add some more interest by making the frequency, or like the distribution of this stuff, change a little bit. This is starting to be pretty interesting. It's like some kind of It reminds me of like a cake when you take the spatula thing and like distort the frosting around it or whatever. The scoop. This is a bit more petrified, rocky. Let's just try some of these different seeds or offsets or whatever. I don't know, it might be a bit too rough. Pretty interesting. And then we were looking at the this UV is like the distance along the curve of all the ones that it's finding. Trying to think what kind of stuff we can use from this. This stuff is pretty cool. It's like a metal when you look at it, where like the reflectance of it changes, like based on the direction, like a cookware or something like that. You guys have all seen this guy before. Where is he? The mandrill. There he is. So instead of using this as its instead of using this just from the UV attribute, I'm going to try maybe taking that curve position. I don't know. I'm trying to get him kind of flowing or warped around this stuff. Let's go. Trying to like reconstruct some UV coordinates or something. Whoops. So I was adding the distance back in to get rid of some of the streaking or whatever. I don't know if this distance maybe like the Z component it works better than the X. This swizzle is just like swapping. Basically, I'm substituting X with Z. So instead of XYZ, this is ZYX. So it's kind of a weird name or weird node. Swizzle. I think it comes from other programming languages or stuff like that. So if we multiply this distance again, or maybe we want to use our remapped. Warped one or whatever. We got our, it's like you took acid or something. You're in the Fear and Loathing casino looking at the carpet. So let's get rid of this mandrill. Maybe we'll try one of these. These bizarro textures. This one's pretty interesting right here. Fear and loathing in the cool zone. So let's go back to our distorted position, see how it looks. So I don't know about those seams. I don't know if I want to try to get rid of them somehow. So I went back to just using the UV coordinates. We probably have that one seam somewhere going along the side, but it should be a bit more stable. I think I see it. There it is. But it should be easier to hide instead of having them around the edges of all the different lines. Remap and repeat. Yeah, you could. I guess you could, like a modulo, or you could do a sign or something to have it bouncing. I think this is gonna be okay for right now. Like going back to like a smoother texture. So I'll just play around with some of these noises and see where we get. It's like the alien jawbreaker or some kind of candy or something like that. Let's go higher frequency just with this positions. So I don't know if this, maybe I'm just pushing things off too far. It's like a bit, I don't know. It seems like maybe it's just a bit too wild with the stuff shooting way off. It's like a paint explosion or something. So I might go in and mess around with these curves a little bit. We could wire this up. Sometimes this is a nice way to work, just to visualize other signals or other outputs or whatever. So I could do a higher frequency noise here to get more curves. Then we just have some more repetition. This one might be I think I'm just going to plug this back into this initial convert. It should just be a little faster, like all these subdivisions. Whoops. Seemed like it was slowing things down a bit too much. Any quick way to export Houdini particles into PRT for 3ds Max, or any other best way you suggest? I've never, I think the PRT importer and exporter, you have to like compile it and stuff. With Houdini, like, I don't know. If you, depends how many particles you're doing, I would either copy like sphere primitives on them and export it using Alembic. That way, if your topology isn't changing. If you have a ton of particles, then you could rasterize them into the VDB volume like we did at the start with the snow shader stuff. But particles is still a problem to bring into other. Someone wrote a PRT exporter a while back. I think the Krakatoa people might be maintaining it, like the ThinkBox GitHub. I think they have a GitHub that has a PRT exporter. I don't know if they've updated it for the most recent versions of Houdini. I think I've also heard of people using the RealFlow plugin, like for the bin exporter and importer to exchange particles. But I don't know, I tend not to exchange particles with other 3D softwares. It always seems to I've never found a great solution for it. So I'm just trying some different noise frequencies here. This one's way too high. It's pretty cool. Wild. We're out of the cool zone. We're into the mushroom zone today. So I think my curves over here are just too many. I think this was looking more interesting when we had less. You can still kind of make out some of the shape. Let's maybe. So I'm just gonna skip this other stuff for right now. Then go back down to a lower frequency of the noise. I think this is a little more interesting. What is this? The thirst? I think this is a little more interesting with just a lower frequency, less curves driving this. I don't know. I think we took a step backwards somewhere. Maybe it was maybe I have too few curves now. So I'm gonna go back and add some more curves. This one is just too simplified, maybe. Let me go back. Maybe even this could be nice. So I think if I just switch from UV to position. I don't know. We're kind of doing a better job hiding the seam. There's a bit of weird stuff, but it kind of looks a little bit more intentional. Just try turning that color off for a second. So I think this, I don't know, this extra displacement level I think was a better idea when I was pushing on it more. Whoa, way too way too high with that frequency. I think you could do it with complex geo. You're asking if it would break with different stuff. You need to do these displacements, like you need a good amount of resolution, but I don't. You could, with like Mantra, you might be able to do some stuff with these curves and do the same idea, kind of as a displacement shader. But this kind of stuff should be. You should be able to do it with any geometry if you're just curves, in that I'm using mainly like the distance from those curves to add like extra interest. Like if I change that fourth dimension to 0, we're kind of back to like a standard style noise. So I'm trying to do this to add extra warping, like flowing along the curves kind of. So I think with this stuff going lower, it's starting to get more interesting. But yeah, I think this VOP stuff is pretty nice because it's, you just plug anything into it and your runs pretty quickly. Like if I did our guy, our favorite. even without changing the base curves or anything like that, we could still get something pretty interesting. You just need some more resolution, but it will just project or try to use the nearest curves to do something to him. You could do the other steps, the other curves to him. Get some melting pig faces. But yeah, I don't know. I usually just start with like a torus or or a sphere, testing like a lot of things, and then when I'm setting things up, I'll try to have it so it works with other. We will work with other geometry or other inputs. I don't know, this is starting to be interesting. I think if it's just a very simple noise and then pushing it out pretty far, it's more of like a sculpture or something. So I think maybe this faceting, I think maybe that faceting is happening from the curves being a too low of resolution. This is like the oh my gosh. Where are they coming from? They showed that to children? Oh my god. So I think these curves might be a bit too low of a resolution, and that might be what's causing the faceting. If we just go resample them, you could do like subdivision to make sure they're smooth. I don't know, the only other reason that that could happen would be the resolution, like if it's just tearing of the actual faces, like the topology or whatever. Sometimes if you go from the Catmull-Clark to just loop subdivision, you get a little bit better topology. It was a puppet parody of the news. It was like the Adult Swim, the French Adult Swim kind of. Like it wasn't really intended for children. So let's add this color stuff back in. I might get rid of the I think just getting rid of that other component altogether is a better option. If we want some differences to it, maybe we could try this. Should be a bit more stable, I think. We could even try some of the other ones, just see what happens. Which what this part right here is the mouth with the tongue open. This is his nose, and that's the eye. It's kind of the clown. He's got like Joker face. He's got Joker makeup on. Like the Joker lipstick and stuff. Yeah, he's got like a little sad kind of cowboy sombrero type thing happening. So I think we have stuff maybe running a bit too high. You have like too high of a frequency with the, you either need a higher resolution geometry or you start to get that tearing. I think I might need this. It's no different. Used to think that my life was a tragedy, now I realize it's a comedy. We've Joker-fied our sphere. This thing's pretty cool. He's super Joker-fied now. His mouth is like hanging hanging down. I'm gonna dial back some of these noises. I think we were getting a bit too carried away with it. It was like getting too much. The tweak zone. So let's get into the render zone pretty soon. Maybe this second displacement is a bit too messy. Let's just take a look at these curves. Vivox 21? I don't know what that is. Vivox. Let me try that again. This is pretty cool. This is like almost like a thumbprint or something like that. Yeah, that part does look pretty nice. Ooh. It is, it's the Touch ID. Security. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So, let's just try to get closer to something renderable. Alright, I'm gonna get rid of that other one for real this time. Let's just drop down the other ones. I don't know. I'm stuck in the tweak zone. Can't get out. I think this thing here is yeah, it's not where you want to be. Let's get this. You think the color is hurting it? This is pretty cool. Let's just go with something like this and see what happens. So we're at like 1,000,000 points. This is pretty high resolution already. Alright, so I'm just gonna make a camera. That's the easiest way to get yourself out of the tweak zone. You just say, I'm doing it, I'm making the camera. Found a PRT exporter. Yeah, so that was the one I was talking about on GitHub. I don't know if it's updated or their release. It was like Houdini 13 or something that I heard of people using it. But unless you really need it for the project you're working on, or like someone else needs the particles exchanged, I would just say, personally, I think it's better to render out the particles and do it as a pass or something with Houdini. Put it in a box. If it is for something you're learning or trying to do for a personal project, I think it's better to take the time and learn or get the particles to look good in Houdini and render them out and composite them. Otherwise, it's like very easy. In the past, I've gotten going down a path where you just spend a week trying to get an exporter to compile or to work, and then you haven't created anything interesting. You've just wasted a bunch of time with like knowledge that doesn't really help anyone, because it's just like some exporter that nobody's ever gonna maintain or keep using. Maybe put it on a box, like a sculpture standing on whatever sculpture stand, like a pedestal. You'll make some contrast between form. I think that's a good idea. Let's try to toss in this pedestal. Put it on a pedestal. So I think if I make my pedestal I'm just gonna use the match size. And justify why. If you do maximum, it will place it below it. So this way I can just model the height and stuff of the pedestal a little easier. And then if we use that same match size with this one, you can set this to min. And then you'll know that it will always just be perfectly placed on top of things. It's like an alien trophy or something. There it goes. Looks cool. It was like that guy Rich Lord. He made this tool. It is thing that you roll any shape, like rolling statue or something like that. I think he had a little bit more logic, because it would actually like traverse when it rolled. It would like cover the proper amount of ground or whatever. So go back to the camera and maybe just crop in a little bit. Put a pedestal or a cylinder to the pedestal. Like like a lazy Susan. A string or a metal thing holding it. You talk about having a thing around it like that? Whoops. So I'm getting too many of these match transforms. We want this one to min. We want this one at max. And then the last one. Aha! So you're talking about just a little... I think I know what you mean now. Just a little elevation. Something like that. Put it on a platter. Pedestal platter combination. Like a spike stick holding it up. Oof. I don't think I wanted that one there. I'm doing too many transforms. Alright, so I think I want this to be like half the height. This to be a lot thinner. And I don't think we need that anymore. I think it's the height. I don't know what I'm doing. It's getting closer to the thing though. Ah. This is pretty cool. I'm gonna turn into a Maxime ripoff stream and just be remaking all the stuff that he did. There's the one guy in the Discord that did a pretty cool job taking like that PS5 or whatever trailer was, and I got too many of these too many match transforms, match size. But yeah, someone in Discord was making they did a pretty good job replicating that that look. All right, I think that's how it is. Let's move the camera up a little bit. Bevel it. I might what do you think about the rounded edge shader? We give it a try. Round corners, yeah. Let's get our bounce light going. I don't know if I think this light's gonna look better if we're not directly overhead. You think it should be thinner? It's like a hanger wire or something. It's more yeah, it's more fancy, luxurious. So I think material, do the RS material. We'll make one for the box and one for the other thing. Very artsy. So what I'm gonna do down here, I'm just gonna try to separate these back out. I'll just leave this connected. It's a strong tube. I'm gonna move the stick into this other object node so that we can have stuff in the same shader groups or whatever. Maybe this needs a little bit more girth. That'd be cool. It's like they dropped a bunch of petals or something. So we'll do that material. Did it work? It worked. So I'm using the BopNet 2 for the pedestal stuff. It's a good book name. Orchid from Outer Space. And this one will do the first material. So this is going to be our pedestal stuff. Just going to go turn that weight to 0, or you set the IOR to 1, and you kind of have a paper material. And then this round corners, I think you just put it into the bump, and you might have to change the radius a little bit, but this kind of simulates the radius is too high and it looks like that. You kind of can get like a render time subdivision, something nice. So I think my stick is floating. All right, we fixed it. So with this one, I don't know. go back into this light. I'm gonna do a dome as well. So I think if we're saying that this is kind of in a, yeah, so if we're saying this is in a art gallery, I'm just gonna, I think I have some studio kind of HDRIs or whatever. Like this kind of tent. This one might be too bright. The donut. No, it's that's the reason for the chat. It's very helpful to have multiple minds at work. So this thing has like this weird light, kind of like that. We'll just rotate it so it's not as visible. I'm gonna make this light a bit bigger. Whoa, it's too big. Then I think that platinum material is just a bit weird. So maybe we should try, maybe we try this texture, but instead of doing it at the VOP level, if we do a bind at the end here, then we can export this, set new UV coordinates. Just copy this path. But this way we can do that texture stuff or play around with it in Redshift or in the shader. You just get more resolution, or you hide that, like, oh, this is Redshift render. I think if you, I don't know if I've tried this. If you do this specs command, I guess I don't have it set up. If you look at the Twitch panels, below the stream window, it says the version of Redshift that I'm using and all that stuff. Or it's this 3020. The Redshift version 3 is pretty nice. They added these Maxon noises and stuff. These are like the Cinema 4D noises, and then because Redshift was purchased by Maxon, they were able to bundle them into their plugin or whatever. So they have some nice, I don't know. These noise types are better than before. They just had an RS noise node, a single noise that wasn't as nice. So this stuff I think is also defaulting. I guess it's just doing object space noise. We could try the vertex. So now instead of color, we could use this to generate the noise using that UV coordinate that I defined. So I'm thinking maybe using this, that noise to do like a material blender. So if we have our base noise as this flower petal, we can do another material, maybe gold. Stuff is getting a bit out of hand. The pastel, it's very floral. So now we're transitioning from the lavender, I don't know, not lavender, it's like a potpourri. It's like you put this in your bathroom to make it smell better. But this way you just control that stuff a little bit easier. You do change range sometimes to clamp that down, so it's like a harsher transition from art gallery to bathroom. Yeah, I don't know, maybe just set that aside. I'm gonna try maybe a couple different metals. It's kind of interesting. Try to do it, we just get a few thin strips of gold, like an accent or something, an embellishment. It's like someone came in with some gold foil tape or something, put it on. Some gold filaments. You like it? Do you like it more with the color? I don't know, it's kind of interesting now. I think my light, want to get some more stuff in that area. Oh. I don't know. This should be 2 or 3 colors. We have too many right now. This, I don't know how this box got so bright. The hell is going on here? Just all my lights are too bright? It's gonna be an Insta piece. I don't know how the box... yeah, I guess it's just the default white color. Just go down to like 0.1. Curvature or ambient occlusion. Yeah, we could try that. Just gonna go into the main surface to try to sort it out. Cool. It's got back kind of more like a flower, like a jellyfish or something. So we could just do color mix based off of that. That it's very floral. Things are blooming today. Somehow this is a bit too bright. The bloom zone. Yeah, I don't know, all my colors are out of whack. You think the stick should be a black metal? Whoops. I feel like you know someone was working in a hurry when you open their Houdini scene. There's like 20 different nodes that have spelling mistakes in them. So we don't need to round the corners of that stick. We'll just start with the lead. The lead is quite bright. I don't know how it how that happens with redshift. I guess it's like a very refined lead or something. It's like iron. It's a polished off lead. This stuff is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. Does it need this doesn't make any sense to me. Where's the brightness coming from? Let's just go back to this. I think something maybe I just need to restart the shader, restart the render. Sometimes Redshift doesn't like reload the shaders. All right, we have our darkened. Let's go back into the default and see. It's a bit bright. That was more of what I was looking for. All right, now we can add our gold. Oof, I don't know what happened there. What do I need to? I think I need to restart it again. Sometimes it won't like recompile the shaders with your full node tree. Then when it reruns the noise, it doesn't have the right functionality or something. You want some roughness, so it isn't like a perfect mirror. Get it 3D printed. Let me try just moving this light around some more. You think if the gold was dirt instead? Or if the pink part was I don't know if this range. I'm gonna try clamping it down or squishing it around a little bit more. I'm just trying to make it like a harsher line. It's an evil flower. The black with peach, it's a cursed flower. You're saying this is black with peach? Or the other way? This is pretty nice. Had the light kind of rakes across it right there. It's like our abstract odd flower. I don't know, I think my range got a bit messed up. It was somehow earlier I had like a little bit more lines. Might have been this junk that I was doing. I don't know why that doesn't get all the way down to very dark value. This should be pretty good. So I just use this this stuff here as like a simple kind of tone mapping exposure stuff. Let's just play around with this HDRI, the rotation. So I think this is better if it's a bit more organized, with the light hitting it just more on one side and this stuff being more in shadow. Good try maybe the depth, the DOF, the DOF, Dr. DOF. Oh, it works. Thank you for the Prime, Alex. You got a 2-month streak. So it's just wait. You just had to wait for it to time out or refresh or whatever. I think they do that so that people they don't want people to pre-subscribe. Like they don't want it to automatically renew. They want to force people to to keep going in and manually clicking it. I don't know, that might be a bit too much depth of field. No, I don't think it's... The Twitch user interface is not the best designed or laid out or anything like that. I don't know how people are feeling about this box. I feel like it might have been too wide. This is like a little bit better proportions, maybe. Hang from the ceiling? That'd be interesting. It's like super super big scale, like a person. Let's see what it looks like. Just hide the box. Move our stick up and move the camera. This is like one of the planetarium, like, for whatever reason the redshift camera doesn't always update with the user interface. Like if you adjust the parameters, it doesn't update right away. This is like a planetarium, like where they put the planets out. It would make it a lot skinnier, like a string. So I don't know, the depth of field is like messing around with it as well, I think. Big boy. It's getting piped. It's girthy. I might just move maybe the focal plane. It's like a chandelier, one of the IKEA things or something. This is IKEA has the white. They're always like white paper or something like that. It's like a translucent thing. The bulb. So I don't know if this main light was just a bit too strong. Back in this week's zone. Whatever you do, you can't escape it. I don't know, the box was nice because it had some bounce and like shadowing and stuff happening to it. Might go back to the box for right now. We'll just move this camera back down. Take this stick. Swap it. You think the shadow on the box needed some bounce or something like that? A marble box? Vegan Nuts has the best marble shaders. I don't know where he's getting the textures and stuff from. He has a folder, a directory with terabytes of, oh, they're from Quixel? Alright, let's go back to the light. My stick is still misplaced. Yeah, I see Quixel has that plugin. I've never tried it myself, but it's supposed to be pretty good. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna turn that off. Drama. Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna keep it this way, but I just wanted to solo the key. I don't know what we're calling this. The main light. To try to get it hitting the. I wanted to just try to get back to that like highlight that I was getting before. It's like an Apple commercial. Everything is half in the shadows. The mystery. So maybe you just move the box, get some different kind of shadows happening. It's a bit too close there. All right, we're gonna get out of the tweak zone. I think this is, I'm just gonna muck about with this light a little bit longer, and then that's gonna be the last thing I do. Thank you. It was very, ended up with something, pulled it out at the last minute. I don't know, that shader I think is it's a bit odd. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it, probably leave it here. Could do a lot more tweaking and fiddling, but this is gonna be it. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate everyone's jumping in, helping me out, getting this across the finish line. I think we ended up with a pretty nice one. We'll just put this new folder, still in July, and it's 24th. Put it in the vault. That stream archive is gonna fill up my hard drive. So do scenes. Then this would, what is this gonna be? Valuable, luxury, flower, or the museum. Luxury flower, 5,000. $. All right, I set the price for it. All right, that's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys have a good rest of your Friday, rest of the week. See people tomorrow. All right, take it easy.